ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं लंघं पंगायते गिरं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna, welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita study group. Thank you all for joining. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, the 13th chapter has started with Arjun asking Krishna, Ki Krishna, I want to know about Prakriti, which is material nature. I want to know about Purush, who is this ultimate enjoyer. I want to know about Kshetram, what is the field, right? Then I want to know about Kshetrajna, who knows this field very, very well. I want to know about Jnanam, knowledge. And I want to know Gneyam, the object of knowledge. Okay? So it looks like there are 6 separate questions. But really they are not 6 separate questions. There are only 3 concepts that are being explained here. And Arjun is trying to understand the 3 concepts in detail. And the 3 concepts are Paramatma, Jivatma and Prakriti. Okay? In fact, do me a favor. In your books, make a little triangle. Okay? On top of that triangle, right, the top apex, write Paramatma. Okay, and the bottom 2 you can write Jeev on one side, which is Jivatma, us, and you can write Prakriti on the other side. Okay, so the 3 concepts we are studying: Paramatma, Jivatma and Prakriti, and we are trying to understand their interplay, the whole relationship. Okay, right in the 7th chapter Krishna had told us कि Prakriti and Jivatma, both of them are his energies. Do we remember that? Right? In the 7th chapter he said, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kham man buddhi ahankar. Ye sab jo hain, these are my separated energies. Okay, he said these are my inferior energies. But there is one superior energy, and that is the Jivatma, the soul. And the soul essentially uses all these inferior energies to transact its day to day and to finally go back to God. Alright? So, very clearly what happened was that Prakriti and Jivatma, both that we see at the bottom of our triangle, both of them are God's energies. Okay? This is one of the fundamental tattvas that we need to know. Prakriti is Bhagwan Ji ki inferior energy and Jivatma is Bhagwan Ji ki superior energy. So God is the supreme controller. He controls matter and spirit. Prakriti is matter and Jivatma is spirit. Prakriti is something that will keep changing. Jivatma is eternal. Okay? So the 6 questions that Arjun has asked, okay, are only to understand the relationship between these 3 concepts. Prakriti, Jivatma, supercontroller. Right? Now we call this supercontroller as God. We call him as Krishna. We call him as Paramatma. We call him as super soul. Whatever. Okay? So let's look at the questions one by one. First, Kshetra. Kshetra is nothing but Prakriti, material nature. Okay? So Prakriti, which is made up of the Panchamahabhut. Bhumir, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham. It has Man, Buddhi, Ahankar. In the 13th chapter, God explained that this body, when we talk of the body, what all does the body consist of? The body also consists of our 5 karmendriyas. The body also includes our 5 jnanendriyas. And the body also includes the sense objects. Right? So smell and form and sound and taste and touch. Right? All of this is Prakriti. Clear? Then he said, wait, it doesn't stop here. Okay? Ichha, Dvesh, Sukh, Dukh, our Chetana, our determination, Dhruti, all of this, right? So gross body plus subtle body is Prakriti. So Kshetra is equal to Prakriti. Alright? Now if all of this is Prakriti, then who is the knower of this Kshetra? Who understands this material nature very, very well? That is called Kshetrajna. And the answer was, there are 2 Kshetrajnas. Correct? One, our individual Atma. Because our Jivatma is always aware of every little action, every little thought that we have, every little desire that we have. So our soul knows our body very, very well. Right? So body is Kshetra, soul is Kshetrajna. But along with this Jivatma, there is another super Kshetrajna, who is the Paramatma. Because the Paramatma is always aware of everybody's actions and thoughts and desires. Right? So one is the knower of the field, one is the super knower because he knows all the fields. Okay? So because both of them are always aware of what is happening to the Kshetra, they are called Kshetrajna, knower of the Kshetra. Are we clear so far? So in our triangle, Prakriti is also called Kshetra, is also matter. Jivatma is Kshetrajna, Paramatma is also Kshetrajna. Okay, please keep making these notes on your triangle so that you don't get confused. Next, what is Jnana? Right? Krishna says, understanding this triangle, understanding the 3 components of this triangle is Jnana. When I understand Prakriti, when I understand Jivatma, when I understand Paramatma, then I have Jnana. Right? So simply put, to understand that I am not this body, I am Atma. I am separate from this body. To understand that the body is perishable, Prakriti is perishable, but Jivatma is eternal. And to understand that the super soul is the controller of both, of the Jivatma and Prakriti. This is Jnana. Okay? So right now, do we all have Jnana? Yeah, we do, right? We've understood the fundamental. we've understood that I am Atma and I've taken on a body, and that Paramatma is the super in charge. Okay? All this sounds very simple, but like Sonal just shook her head, it sounds very simple, but it is not. Getting this jnana is not easy. Right? The soul is completely under the wash of this body. Right? Every single instance, we start identifying ourselves with the body. We very, very rarely identify ourselves with the soul. Right? Unfortunately for us, lifetime after lifetime, we've been identifying with the body very, very closely. So for us to consciously now get rid of that bondage, we need to work on ourselves. Right? Otherwise, we will constantly be entangled in the material body. And so, to disentangle myself, to free myself, to make myself separate from the material body, कि नहीं मैं आत्मा हूँ, right? I need to constantly, every now and then, keep coming back to that zone where I tell myself I am Atma. Whatever is happening to my body. For that to happen, I have to develop some qualities. Without developing these qualities, I will constantly keep going back under the wash of that material body. Right? And therefore, verses 8 to 12, Krishna gave us specific qualities that we need to cultivate. Right? Amanitvam. Now please, when I say these words, think if you understand the meaning. Okay? If you don't, please ask me. Amanitvam, मुझे मान नहीं चाहिए. Adambhitvam, I want to be free from dambha, free from pride. Ahimsa. Kshantir, I want to be tolerant. Arjavam, I want to be simple. Acharya Upasanam, I want to find a guru and I want to follow that guru. Okay? Shocham, I want to maintain cleanliness. Sthairyam, है ना, मुझे स्थैर्य रहना है अभी, मुझे उथल पुथल नहीं होना है. Atmavinigраha, I want to have control over my senses, over my thoughts, over my mind. Indriyartheshu vairagyam, I want to start saying no to my indriyas. When my eyes want to watch something and it's not good for my spiritual growth, I want to be able to say no. When I want to hear something which is not good for my spiritual growth, I want to be able to say no. Okay? So I want to be able to control and say no to my indriyas. Indriyartheshu vairagyam. Anahankara. Ahankar, ego, is the first thing I need to give up. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanudarshanam. I have to understand that this cycle of birth, old age, disease, death, at every stage there is dosh. And so I want to get out of this cycle. Asaktir, I don't want to become attached to anything. I want to now be detached. Anabhishwangaha, putra dara gruhadishu. I want to become free from attachment, whether it is my child, whether it is my spouse, whether it is my house or anything that I own. From all of this, I want to dhire become detached. I want to do my duty to the best of my ability, but I want to do it without great entanglement. Okay? Nityam sa samachittatvam. At all times, I'm going to try and keep my chitta sama. Sukh aya, sama. Dukh aya, sama. Because I'll always keep in mind, this too shall pass. Ishta nishto papattishu. Chahe अच्छा मिले या बुरा मिले, I am going to be sama chittatvam. Then, very important, Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini. I will continue to constantly be a strong, loyal devotee of the Lord. I will do ananya bhakti. And then, vivikta desha sevitvam. Aratir Jana Sausadi. I will go live in a very quiet place where I am free from material crowd that is going to drag me down. Please remember, all this applies to a jnani. For us who are not looking at going away to the jungle or the mountains, what this means is I will have one place dedicated to my spiritual growth in my house. Right? I will have one corner that is going to help me focus and center myself. And doing that, I will constantly study Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. I'm going to constantly try and understand Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. I will not do anything blindly. I will not follow any rules and regulations blindly. I will always understand what is the Tattva behind it. Why am I doing whatever I am doing, and only then I will do it. All of this, Krishna says, is Jnana. We should be in awe of Krishna because he doesn't say, do it because I'm telling you to. He's saying, please understand. And after understanding, अगर तुम्हारे मन को जचे, अगर तुमको समझे, तो फिर करना, नहीं तो मत करना. Right? That is the kind of independence we have. So please remember, whenever we talk of destiny, we are the architects of our destiny. Because our karma may have decided certain things for us, but at every step of the way, we make a conscious choice. It's like an algorithm, right? So every choice that we make leads us to the next step. So be aware that what you did yesterday has shaped your today, and what you're doing today is shaping your tomorrow. Right? That is Jnana. So when I work on these virtues, then I will be able to get more and more Jnana. And I will be able to understand Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Super Kshetrajna very well. And when I understand the three very well, I will attain liberation. Okay? So naturally I stop to think, ki, why am I doing all of this? Why do I need all of this Jnana? Who is it that I want to ultimately go to? Right? I'm trying to understand myself, this Atma. I'm trying to understand Paramatma, and I'm trying to go back to that Paramatma. Alright? To make it easy for us to understand Paramatma, last week we saw from verses 14 to 18, Krishna gave us qualities of that Paramatma. He said that Paramatma, he is all pervading. He has hands and legs and eyes and heads and faces and ears everywhere. Therefore, everything that we offer to him, he receives instantly. Everything that we think, he understands immediately. Everything that we speak, he is listening to. Right? He is all pervading. He is outside and he is inside of us. If we don't want him, then he is far away from us. But if we call out to him, he is near us. It looks like he is divided. He looks like he is separate in each one of us. But no, he is the same one. He can never be divided. The concept of division applies only in the material world. He exists in each one of us as a complete whole. And he is responsible for creation, for maintenance, and when the time comes, destruction. And so we saw he is Jnanam, he is Gneyam, and he is Jnanagamyam. So he is knowledge. He is the reason I want this knowledge. And at the end of it, when I get all this knowledge, he is my goal. It is he that I want to go back to. Okay? And then Krishna said, for all of this to happen, there is one non-negotiable quality. Okay? We've seen so many incidents where people, have had faults and have still gone back to God. Because God is very, very liberal. But he says there's one quality which is non-negotiable. And that quality is bhakti. He says, only my devotee can understand all of this. And so only my devotee can come back to me. Okay? So non-negotiable qualification that we need to have is bhakti. Whether we do karma yoga, we do jnana yoga, we do ashtanga yoga, ultimately these are all pulling us into bhakti yoga. All of these can be steps that will deliver us to the platform of bhakti yoga, and then using that bhakti we can go back to God. Okay, so that is what we've covered so far. Now we come to verses 21 to 26, where Krishna explains the concept of Prakriti and Purush. Okay, I'm not doing the verses. Listen and ask me your questions. Alright? So what is Prakriti? Again, there's a lot of repetition because God also understands these are difficult concepts. Right? So he's going to explain them in detail. He says, what is Prakriti? Prakriti is this material nature. Maya is Prakriti. Right? Who is Purush? The individual soul, the Jivatma is Purush. Okay? The individual soul who has taken on a body and is enjoying the activities of this body is the Purush. And who is the Param Purush? Krishna. Okay? Now God explains to us, ki look, if Prakriti and Purush, if both of them are my energies, then wait and think that if I have existed forever, then obviously both my energies have also existed forever. Correct? So Krishna is very clearly telling us, Prakriti has also existed forever, Purush has also existed forever because they come from me. Okay? Then Krishna goes on to say that this Prakriti, she manifests herself in three modes. The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance. Right? And these three modes, they're constantly acting on the Jivatma. As long as the Jivatma is thinking, I am this body, then I'm always under one of these modes. Sometimes in the mode of passion, sometimes in the mode of goodness, sometimes in the mode of ignorance. But I'm not free from the modes. And because I'm under these modes, I will constantly be in the cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. I will keep taking birth. I will keep going, growing up. I will keep getting old. I will keep getting diseased. And I will die only to take birth again. Okay, please understand, this is important. Prakriti gives us our body. Prakriti, material nature, the modes, they give us our senses, our skills, our talents, right? Our families, our environment, our man, our buddhi, our ahankar. All of this comes to us from Prakriti based on our own past karmas, based on our own desires. Prakriti is not random. She follows a law and she makes no mistakes whatsoever. Okay? Based on that law that Prakriti follows, the law of material nature, we get our placement. Simple, right? Based on our own karma, we get our next body. It's like this. Based on what we have earned, we get a particular car. Correct? Based on what we've earned. It could be a Beamer, it could be a Merc, it could be a Toyota, it could be a Santro. It depends on my work and my desire. है ना? Simply based on our own karma and our desires, we get a particular body. Right? And once we accept this body, once the Atma enters the body, takes on this body, then the Atma alone becomes responsible for the Sukh or the Dukh that the Atma experiences. Okay? Because even if Prakriti has given me the body, who is telling Atma to identify with the body? As Atma, it is my responsibility. I have to constantly keep remembering I am not this body. Whatever is happening to the body, good or bad, is happening to my body. It's not happening to me. It's not happening to the Atma. I am unaffected. I am Satchitananda because I am part of that Supreme Satchitananda. Because I forget that. Because I keep identifying with the body. Sometimes I enjoy happiness, sometimes I suffer sadness. Okay? And because I keep associating with the modes constantly, sometimes I'm in tamogun, sometimes I'm in rajogun, sometimes I'm in satogun. And because of this, I keep building up karma and I keep suffering my karma phal. Right? The more I entangle myself with this body, the more desires I have, and it is me and me alone who's responsible for my next body. And this is the biggest problem. My next body. As Jivatma, that is the greatest problem that I'm trying to solve. Because of my karma, I have no control what kind of a body I'm going to be put into. Right? If I get the body of a dog, I will start behaving like a dog. I must act like a dog. I don't have an option. Right? In a dog's body, I cannot act like a cat. I cannot act like a donkey. I cannot act like a human being. I have to work based on the body that I have got. Think about it. If I get put in the body of a pig, then I will be forced to eat stool. I will be forced to eat garbage. I will live in gutters. I will roll in kitchen and I will act like a pig. This is the law of nature. I cannot challenge it. I cannot bypass these laws. I cannot break these laws. So 13th chapter is a very strong reminder. Please remember, there are 84 lakh species. And where you go depends entirely on you. And even getting out of the whole cycle of birth and death is up to you and you alone. Right? So this point we need to appreciate that we could have been any of those 80 lakh species. But by mercy, we've got this human body. And this human body is a rare birth. And now that we have this human body, we're expected to do tasks which are suited to this human birth. We need to understand what our goal is. अथातो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा. घूम फिर के इतने योनियों में जा के अथातो finally I have come here, this human birth. So my goal is to do Brahma Jigyasa and to attain Bhagwan. You know, we need to understand how powerful we are. We have complete control over our next destination. Whatever is done, no problem. Krishna says, surrender to me, everything will be burnt away. I personally will burn away all your past karmas. Right? So we need to simply acknowledge this Paramatma within us. We need to understand our relationship with Him. Okay? And so there's a beautiful verse which tells us that our relationship with God is very reciprocal. How much we let Him in, only that much He will enter our lives. Okay? Let's do this verse. It's one of my favorite verses. Verse number 23. Please open to 13th chapter, verse number 23.
Krishna, one doubt I see, this thing between mind and soul. What is the actually difference?
Very nice question. What is the difference between man, buddhi, ahankar and atma? इन चारों में कोई physical difference है ही नहीं. Okay? The change is essential. The way I identify is what I use to look into my desires. I call that man. Okay? When I use information that I have to make a decision, I call that intelligence. When I work on a level saying I am so and so, aham and mameti, right? Me and mine, then I call that same thing ego. And when I feel a connection to the Supreme Lord, I call that Atma. Essentially, it is all one spark. Man, Buddhi, Ahankar and Atma is just one spark. Based on the role that it plays, it is differentiated. That same spark, okay, takes on 4 different roles. Make sense? Okay, alright. So do we all have verse number 23? Please repeat after me and pay attention to the words, okay? It's a beautiful verse. Upadrushtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwarah paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah parah. This verse tells us that there is this Paramatma inside all of us. That is undoubtedly. Okay? Whether you accept him or you don't accept him, he has come and he is sitting over there. He is doing his job. Now you can disown your mom, but the fact that you have a mother is not going to be defeated, right? Without a mother, you wouldn't have existed. So it's as simple as that. This Paramatma, he exists inside all of us. But how much? To what extent we want to realize him, to what extent we want to acknowledge that relationship depends entirely on us. Correct? तुम माँ को रोज फोन करोगे या माँ को महीने में एक बार करोगे या ठीक है यार there is a mother somewhere, Mother's Day, Women's Day, birthday, I might reach out to her. That depends entirely on us. Correct? So that's exactly our relationship with this Paramatma. Look at the words. The first one, Upadrushta. I can simply recognize him as a Upadrushta. He's sitting inside me and so he's able to see everything that I do. He's an overseer. Okay? Nothing else he does. He's simply sitting inside. He notices everything that I do. He keeps an account and he gives me the result. Okay? He's like an umpire in a cricket match. You hit a 6, very good. You hit a 4, very good. You hit a wide, okay. You took 2 runs, okay. If you're out, you're out. He's just an observer. Upadrushta. Right? So if I don't want any more involvement with that Paramatma, no problem. Right? He will stay inside me and he will play that role of noting down everything that I do and giving me my results accordingly. Fair enough? So, Upadrushta, simply the overseer, no interference whatsoever. But if I get a little more aware of that Paramatma as the Supreme, then I feel like taking his permission before I do something. Okay? Which means I accept him as the Anumanta, जो मुझे permission देते हैं. I acknowledge कि he is superior, so I seek his permission. How do I do that? By listening to Guru Sadhu Shastra. If Dharma says that I should not do something, then no, I will not do it. Right? I will not challenge it. If Dharma says no to a particular action, then I will simply not do that action. Dharma is saying don't drink, I will not drink. Dharma says don't eat non-veg, I will not eat non-veg. Anumanta. Right? I listen. He is not permitting me not to eat non-veg. So छोड़ ना भाई क्यों बहस करना, नहीं खाती हूँ. Right? Anumanta. So I take his permission. I seek his permission when I do something. Okay? So first he is just an Upadrushta. If I am eating a lot of non-veg, he is just noting it down. Right? If I am having a lot of alcohol, he is just noting it down. He says, भाई तू कर तुझे जो करना है. So at that point he is Upadrushta. But then slowly I become aware of a few concepts and I start seeking his permission. So Anumanta. वो अगर मुझे permission देते हैं तो मैं करूँगी, permission नहीं देते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूँगी. So second role that I can give him in my life is Anumanta. Okay? Then of course, as I progress in my understanding, I begin to realize that whatever I do, really nothing is in my hands. हाथ ऊपर करते हैं ना, राइट? हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हाथ ऊपर करते हैं because we realize कि nothing is in my hand. He is the ultimate maintainer. I become aware and I accept कि this Paramatma, he is the one who maintains me. He is the one who's constantly looking out for me. And at that point it means that I accept him as my bharta. है ना, जो भी मुझे लाइफ में मिल रहा है, he is my sustainer, right? He is providing for everything. So from Upadrushta I went to Anumanta. Then I realized कि यार जो भी मुझे मिल रहा है, right? I have put in all my effort. Without his permission I don't get it. He is my bharta. Yes, Subbalakshmi, you have a question?
Yeah, how we come to know that he is permitting us? Because we are doing actions, what our soul says and what our buddhi says.
Yeah, so when your soul and your buddhi is surrendered to Krishna, is surrendered to that Paramatma, then you're following him. If it's not surrendered to him, if you're not following Guru Sadhu Shastra, then you're not surrendered, then you're doing apne free will se. Right? 2 instances. Right? I can listen properly to what Guru Sadhu Shastra says. Or like for me, for the longest time, I debate till I'm not convinced. I can accept only when I'm convinced. तो तब तक तो भाई गोते खाती रहूंगी ना, because problem है, it would be so nice if I could simply accept, right? So when I accept, then I'm following his wish, because Guru Sadhu Shastra ने बहुत सोच समझ के, you have to remember when Acharya says something, they're not just saying it because they want to be heard, they are saying it because they've realized that knowledge with tons and tons and tons of tapasya, right? They have realized knowledge. Therefore, they are telling us कि भाई अहंकार बुरा है, right? We know the story of Vishwamitra, है ना? कितनी तपस्या की, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं वो अहंकार बीच में आ रहा था ना. When he sat down, sitting in yoga, without God at the center, what happened? Menaka came, he had to close his eyes. Chan chan की आवाज से भटक गए ना, because there was no God at the center. Then he said, yeah, this is too much, I don't want disturbance. He went underwater, he was doing tapasya. You know, underwater means literally we are trying to do away with all our senses. गलती से क्या हुआ? आंखें खुली, he saw a pair of fish mating. ऊपर नीचे हो गया मन, भटक गया, because there is no God at the center. Right? There's that instance where he's sitting down, very, very ghor tapasya mein, and Rambha comes. He opens his eyes and he burns her. That means इतनी तपस्या करने के बाद, if you don't have God at the center, your anger पे तो काबू तुमने पाया नहीं है. Right? That is why recognizing the role of Paramatma. Otherwise you'll accomplish whatever you think, but ultimately you will fall down, because he gives you the strength. He puts you in the right direction. My aim of tapasya is not to say कि मैं 10,000 साल बैठा था. My aim of tapasya is what? My aim of tapasya is to reach that ultimate goal. Right? So when I'm aware of that goal, then I'm aware कि भाई मैं सही कर रही हूँ या गलत कर रही हूँ. Okay? All right. So Upadrushta, Anumanta, Bharta. Then what happens is when I start realizing कि यार यही तो मेरा भरता है, जो भी हो रहा है वही तो मुझे दे रहा है, जिस अच्छे सिचुएशन में मैं हूँ, it is all because of him. What happens over a period of time? I start falling in love with him. Right? And when I fall in love with him, then slowly I start getting this feeling कि यार मुझे जो भी करना है ना, मुझे बस उसकी खुशी के लिए करना है ना? I want him to enjoy everything that I'm doing. I want him to enjoy my actions. I want to offer everything to him. Right? You reach a point where you think मुझे अपने लिए नहीं, मुझे ना उनको खुश करने के लिए ना कुछ काम करना है. At that point, I recognize him as the bhokta. I want him to bhogo everything that I do. Right? Everything that I do, I want to offer to him first, because I want him to enjoy it and take everything as his prasad. So in the 9th chapter we had done, यत् करोषि यद् अश्नासि यद् जुहोसि ददासि यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत् कुरुष्व मद अर्पणम. God had very clearly said, भाई तू जो खाता है, तू जो बोलता है, तू जो काम करता है, तू जो ऑफर करता है, किसी को दान देता है, जो तपस्या करता है, उस सब को श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु कर. Offer it to God. There's no point in doing your whole Ekadashi fast if you don't say कि भगवान जी, I want to do this for your pleasure. Because if God accepts it, then He will bring the right change in me. Then that fast is going to help to purify me. Right? So that understanding means we've accepted Him as Bhokta in our lives. We start with Upadrushta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta. And then finally we reach a point of you are Maha Ishwar. You are the Supreme Lord. I have no doubt whatsoever. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to you. You are Lord and Master of everything and everyone. Make sense? Right? So as we progress in Jnana, as we study more and more, right, we start to realize more and more about the Paramatma who is seated within us. And with that, Krishna gets us to the conclusion of the chapter. He tells us that anyone who wants to go back home, right, anyone who desires liberation, anyone who wants to get out of this cycle of birth and death, he needs to simply understand that every entity, moving or non-moving, is nothing but a combination of Prakriti and Purush. We can do Dhyan Yoga, we can do Jnana Yoga, we can do Karma Yoga, doesn't matter. Whatever our path is, we need to focus on this Paramatma inside of us. Shruti Parayanaha. There is a beautiful verse which is used in verse number 26. If you have a pen, highlighter, just go to verse number 26, right? And find that word, Shruti Parayanaha. 13th chapter, verse number 26. Shruti Parayanaha. Krishna says, बस इतना करो, सुनो, Shruti, lend me your ear. है ना? Don't worry if you don't have absolute knowledge, don't worry if you don't have absolute faith. But start with one thing, and that is start listening attentively. When you listen, you will develop faith. With faithful hearing, you will realize my role in your life. And when you realize my role in your life, you will get out of this horrible cycle of birth and death. Right? So that triangle that we drew at the beginning of the session, Super Soul, Soul and Matter, Jivatma, Prakriti and Purush. The soul is not the body, right? So all the joys, the sorrows, man, apman, anger, hate, virtues, vices, all of them affect the body. All of them, they affect the body. They do not affect the soul. And whatever I do, this body will most definitely die. This body is born 1,000 times, it dies 1,000 times. But the soul, that is eternal, just like the super soul. The soul cannot be destroyed, the soul cannot be degraded. In the second chapter, we heard a lot of qualities of the soul. Right? Fire cannot burn it, water cannot dissolve it, wind cannot, wither it. The soul is eternal, it cannot be destroyed. It is Satchitananda. It has all the qualities of that Paramatma. The only reason that our soul degrades is because the soul keeps associating with the modes of Prakriti. Right? The modes of nature. Prakriti has mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And because we keep associating with these modes, we keep degrading our soul. Right? And how to protect ourselves from these modes, we will study in the next chapter. The next chapter, very simple, talks about the three modes of material nature. Tells us very clearly कि क्या करते हो तब किस मोड में रहते हो. Right? And how to slowly work on elevating ourselves. So that brings us to the end of the 13th chapter, but I don't want to let you go so quickly, so I'm going to tell you a little story. Okay? There was a young sannyasi, right? He was invited to the Raja ka darbar because Raja had heard he's very, very powerful. Okay? So Raja thinks, okay, I have these questions about God. Right? So because I have these questions, I want somebody to answer them. I have heard of this very powerful, young, bright, brilliant sannyasi. So he sends out word and he invites that sannyasi to the Raja ka darbar. Right? When the sannyasi comes, the Raja, offers him Dandvat Pranam, honors him with gifts, and then tells him, I have 3 questions. Will you please answer them? Sannyasi says, of course, that's why I'm here. So Raja says, question 1. Tell me where God lives. 2. Who is God really looking at? Right? Is he looking at Sonal? Is he looking at Subbalakshmi? Is he looking at Sheetal? And 3. What can God do? Right? 3 simple questions. Sannyasi is okay. I will start answering your questions. To answer your first question, right? Where does God live? I need a glass of milk. Raja hukum deta hai, bhai glass doodh leke aa jao. Right? That glass of milk is presented to the sannyasi. Sannyasi takes the glass of milk, puts his finger in it and starts ghumawing it, gol gol, gol gol, gol gol. Right? The king is very amused. He says, kya kar rahe ho bhai aap? Sannyasi says, ki I have heard ki there is butter in the milk. There is butter in the milk. So I'm looking for that butter in this milk, but I'm not finding it. King says, kya baat kar rahe ho yaar? Of course there is butter in the milk. But you need to follow a particular process to get that butter out. Sannyasi smiles and says, yes. You know that, right? So this is the answer to your first question. Just as milk gets curdled, then we find butter after churning that milk. Similarly, God exists in every living being. Every ounce mein there is God. But to know Him, there is a process. There is a process of devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, right? Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Vinigraha. So there is a process. And unless you follow that process, like I said, Shruti Parayanaha, unless we start listening, unless we start developing Shraddha, Adav Shraddha, followed by Sadhu Sangha, right? With Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivrutti, जो अपने अंदर जो अनर्था है, धीरे धीरे जितना मैं साधु संग करूंगी उतना मेरे अनर्थास कम होते जाएंगे. Right? So there is a process that we need to follow if we need to find God. God exists in every living being. But to know Him, we need that process of devotion. King is very happy with the answer. Says, great. Now my second question. Where is God looking? Sannyasi says, please get me a candle. है ना? Immediately candle ले आते हैं. Sannyasi candle को on करते हैं, मतलब light करते हैं. And he asks the king, please tell me, in which direction is this light shining? King says the light is uniform in all directions. Sannyasi says that's the answer to your second question. God is omnipotent. He is looking towards all of us with equal drishti, equally towards all our actions. Is he more fond of Indrajit and less fond of Krishna? No. He is looking at all of us equally, right? Like a candle. Wonderful. King is very happy. ठीक है भाई, now I know कि भगवान मेरी ओर तो properly देख रहे हैं, full time देख रहे हैं, right? So I'm also going to be more conscious of my actions. Now I know there is no time that the Lord is not looking at me. You know, we should all keep in mind, the sun and the moon, both of them represent God. दिन में सूर्य देख रहा है, रात में चंद्रमा देख रहा है. So don't ever think कि God is not watching you. Right? All right. King is very happy. Now the third question. What can God do? Sannyasi is, I will answer that question. But you do realize, right, that I'm your guru at this point. You're asking me questions, I'm answering them, which means I'm your guru. So I should be seated in a higher place than you are sitting. The king is so eager to get the answer, the king gets down from his throat and makes the sannyasi sit over there. He says, आप यहाँ पे बैठो, मैं आपकी जगह पे बैठता हूँ. So now you're sitting on a higher position, I'm sitting at a lower position. Now please answer my question. Sannyasi says, Oh Raja, this is the answer to your last question. You asked what God can do. God can make a poor sannyasi like me sit on Raja ka Sihasan. And he can make a Raja like you sit in the place of a poor sannyasi, जो literally arms पे जगते हैं. So God can make a beggar a king and a king a beggar in an instant. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you all for joining.